What is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan, and we had big news today at the NFL trade deadline because one of the splash moves of the day, your Miami Dolphins acquired Bradley Chubb from the Denver Broncos. And you can see the trade details scrolling on the bottom there. But the Dolphins send a 2023 first to the Broncos. That was the 49ers first rounder, actually. A 2024 fourth rounder and running back Chase Edmonds in return for Bradley Chubb and a 2025 fifth round pick. Now, that wasn't the only move of the day. They also traded for Jeff Wilson, the running back out of San Francisco. We will get to that, but I have to lead off with Bradley Chubb, obviously the elephant in the room. But look, the Dolphins had to make a decision. With the way that their defense has been basically the whole season, but more so recently, with the decimated secondary that they have, being forced to play more zone than they're used to, not being able to play man, not being able to run that zero blitz. It's like, you know what? If we're going to have to fall back into zone here, we have to get to the quarterback on a more consistent basis. One thing that we have not been able to do. So what did they see as the best short-term and long-term solution rather than trying to patchwork the secondary? It was, you know what, let's get the best pass rusher that's available at the trade deadline, and that's Bradley Chubb. So now your pass rushers feature Bradley Chubb, Jaelan Phillips, which, by the way, that duo, both of them being under 26 years old, one of the best, hottest duos in the league. I am pumped to see that duo. But outside of those two, you got Emmanuel Ogbah, you got Melvin Ingram, you got Andrew Van Ginkel. And for a team that was struggling to get that consistent pressure through the first 8 weeks of the season, there are legit no more excuses with these guys. But in my opinion, the move shows a couple of different things. First and foremost, it's that commitment to winning now. Like I said, this move does help them in the future. But when you're giving up a first rounder, that's typically a big ask. But when you're doing so in a draft where a lot of draft analysts are saying, you know what, this 2023 class is fairly loaded, that's an even bigger ask. But at the end of the day, the front office had to weigh those decisions. Are we going to gamble on a stud such as Bradley Chubb? And then that's not even a gamble. It's like, do we take more of the sure thing with the stud in Bradley Chubb versus gambling on a guy that we're going to be able to pick between picks probably 20 to 25? That's probably where the 49ers are projected to shake out at this point in time. And obviously the Dolphins thought, you know what? What's going to make a more impact now? What's more of the sure thing? Their answer was Bradley Chubb. And to be honest with you, I cannot hate the route they went. And I said there was a couple of things. The other thing is, and this one should have been fairly obvious, probably even before this move, the Dolphins are all in on Tua Tagovailoa as the team's starting quarterback. Think about this. They had the 2 first-round draft picks, obviously spent today's on the pass rusher, had the other one taken away from them for the tampering of Tom Brady and Sean Payton. So at this point in time, the biggest ammo that you had to either package together and get a proven guy this offseason or to package together and move up and get the rookie that you wanted is off the table. So like I said, we didn't need this move to really show that that was the case. But Dolphins fans, Tua Tagovailoa is your quarterback, absolutely moving forward. And I, for one, could not be more happy about that. I want to do a little bit of background on Nick Chubb. I talked a little bit about him in more detail in my trade deadline preview video that I dropped yesterday. But in case you missed that, Bradley Chubb was the 5th overall pick from the Broncos in 2018. He goes 6'4", 275. Through 8 games this season, 5.5 sacks. And like I said yesterday, comparison's sake, our leader, Jaelan Phillips, has 3. I believe our entire team has 15. Nick Chubb has more than a third of that on his own. His most productive season came his rookie season. He had 12 sacks that year. And right now he's in the prime of his career. And the next thing that you can expect to hear about Bradley Chubb is the fact that he's signing a contract extension with the Dolphins. As of recording this, he hasn't done it yet, but know damn well that that is coming quick. And one more thing before we get to Jeff Wilson, because I saw this tweet and I needed to share it with you guys. So the Miami Dolphins got 3 first rounders in the deal they did with the San Francisco 49ers when they wanted to move up in the draft to get Trey Lance. From those picks, the Miami Dolphins technically traded all of them. And in 2021, the pick that they got, they packaged to trade up for Jalen Waddle. The 2022 pick, they sent to the Chiefs for Tyreek Hill. and the 2023 pick, obviously upcoming here, sent to the Broncos for Bradley Chubb. So they were able to turn that into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb. For how much crap a lot of people give Chris Greer, and yes, he's had his swings and misses, but what GM hasn't? But to be able to turn that into those three players, tell you what, we cannot complain too much more about this guy. But let's talk about Jeff Wilson as well, because yes, the Miami Dolphins also acquired Jeff Wilson. He was sent to the Dolphins in exchange for a 2023 fifth round pick. Now, through 8 games this season, 92 carries, 468 yards, which is 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. So 5.1 yards per carry, and he was the 49ers leader in regards to rushing yards before getting dealt. Also added 10 catches, 91 yards through the air. But he recently saw his workload cut a little bit. Obviously, well known, the 49ers trade for Christian McCaffrey. Say they're going to ease him in, but at the end of the day, you get Christian McCaffrey. The ease-in period only lasts for so long. But getting back to Jeff Wilson here, had at least 12 carries and 74 yards each game between weeks 2 and 5. So had a nice workload there. And his best game of the season came week 5 against the Carolina Panthers. He had 17 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. To give you a little bit of insight as to what he brings to the table as well, he's 6 foot, 213 pounds. He's got decent speed. He's got pretty good power. And like I mentioned on the trade deadline preview video that I did yesterday, one of the biggest things why this was, I don't want to say absolutely predictable, but why it shouldn't come to as any shock, familiarity with Mike McDaniel and the system, because obviously they were working together with the San Francisco 49ers. And also, what did we talk about in that video? You're pairing him up with his old buddy. Now it's him and Raheem Mostert, because we saw Raheem Mostert come in and absolutely steal those running back 1 duties from Chase Edmonds. So now you're looking at Mostert and Jeff Wilson as that team's 1-2 punch, hopefully filling in where what Chase Edmonds was having the yips through. We don't have to worry about it anymore. We got new blood in the backfield, and hopefully that pairing can lead us, because I think we're going to see a nice jump from the run game pretty damn soon here, because you know what? Our pass game is crushing it right now. Our pass game is absolutely going to open some more things up for this running game. And I want to share a next-gen stat about Jeff Wilson to close things out, because this stat is unbelievable. Jeff Wilson has gained 119 rushing yards over expected this season. That's the 7th most among all NFL running backs. And if you're kind of new to that stat, they take what you're expected to get based on the blocking and where the defense is lined up and where they're supposed to tackle you. 119 more than he was expected to get on the carries that he got so far. Keep that number in mind, because Miami Dolphins running backs this season has lost 148 rushing yards over expected this season through the first 8 weeks of the 2022 NFL season, which is the absolute lowest in the NFL. So they dealt one of the league's least efficient running backs in Chase Edmonds and got one of the most efficient running backs in Jeff Wilson. So yes, it did cost a 5th rounder. It's a little bit steep for a guy who I believe is on the last year of his contract. But you know what? If it makes the difference this year, if it gets us into the playoffs, if it's something that we can build on, and who knows, man, this team has got some aspirations now. With the moves we saw today, this team has got some aspirations. But those are your big moves today, Dolphins fans. We're going to have to pay attention to see how involved our new acquisitions are this week against the Bears. But we will let that play out itself, because I am very positive that we'll be seeing a lot of them moving forward throughout the rest of the season. But that is my time for today, Dolphins fans. Enjoy your new toys, and until next time, fins up.